Alright, y'all. So, Dragon Ball Daima is on the books. The end. It's over. And I have a lot to talk about. And I'll try to keep it as brief as I can because there's so many discussions to be had on the back of this. So, we got some answers, and it leaves some questions, and it's very weird. So let's jump into it. But first, I'm going to talk about, just in case you haven't seen the episode, I'll give you guys some time. We'll just talk about basic scores. Animation-wise, couple of just nitpicks. I think last time I got into the point system, I'll do a 9.2 out of 10. Because for every nitpick I have, there's a moment that's completely just mind-bogglingly insane. Right? Like, this episode had so many highs that the lows are almost irrelevant, but they're still there from time to time. So animation-wise, 9.2, which sounds weird, but that's where I'm going with. Sound design-wise, I didn't hear a flaw one. And when they went into the theme and all that stuff, 10 out of 10, phenomenal. Story. I have to knock off a point because of one thing we'll talk about later on. I want to take some points off, but I want to give some points back. So I'm just going to go with a flat 9 out of 10, which I think I want to go a little harsher than that, but I don't think I can reasonably go harsher than that just because, let's be fair and honest here, any massive shortcoming was definitely made up for in just the pacing and the scale of the episode. This is the finale, too. So we can't expect it to be a whole, we can't expect it to be like the last two episodes, where it's just raw, unadulterated action. Fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Now, we are going to get into spoilers. So, if you haven't watched the episode, highly recommend. This is the point at which you pause, go back, watch it. But at this point, you've had enough warning. We're 2.5 minutes into the recording. If you haven't figured it out by now, from this point on, it's on you, my friend. Because, by the way, subscribe if you haven't already, because we're gonna be covering so much more Dragon Ball lore. We've got Dokkan Battle coming up, all that kind of stuff. So, let's go. First things first, that whole fight between Super Saiyan 4 Goku, almost said Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Goma was insane. Absolutely nuts. Now, it's not the first time we've seen Super Saiyan 4, but the way they clash, the way they, the size and the scale difference between these two dudes, and they went blow to blow, sometimes fist to fist. Goma's 6 times the size of Goku, all said and done. And still, they were matching blows, fist to fist, just going back and forth. And Goku's hits were just getting heavier. He kept showing he's got more in the tank. Now, Goma's kind of cheating. The evil third eye thing gives him literally an unlimited well of energy, right? This is kind of a cheat code, legitimately. So he just is able to create energy from nothing, which is wild, but it is what it is. He's literally able to just match Goku no matter what Goku does. There's nothing he can do that will present anything more than a minor setback to Goma. Goma is just going at it. And we get some great shots where Goku's powering up, Goma comes at him, Goma gets knocked out. At one point, Goku bear hugs him around the midsection. And the fight is just intense and immense. And every time Goma comes back, Goku gets stronger. And every time Goku gets stronger, Goma gets stronger. It just keeps going. Neither one of these guys have any upper limit at this point, right? This is just a thing. And we were waiting for the moment when Piccolo was going to actually get involved, because we know at some point Piccolo is going to knock the third eye out of the back of Goma's head. We just know that that's going to happen. But Goku's got to wear him down enough that his defenses are low and Piccolo can actually hit him. So Goku fires this insane Kamehameha. Probably one of the most impressive Kamehamehas we have seen yet. It punches a hole straight through Goma and straight through the demon worlds themselves. It literally creates basically a new passageway. So if you remember back to where there's like the hole through the demon realm, it kind of explains how that hole got there, sort of. Not really, but sort of. But it blows this huge passageway through the demon realms, and just this water starts pouring out of the second demon world. Goma himself actually has a blast earlier in the episode where it's literally just it's just a well of energy just surrounding him and surrounding the landmass and everything like that. It's wild. It's insane. The scope of the battle is nuts. But Goku does eventually get the upper hand and literally blows a hole through the demon realm and Goma himself, and you're actually able to see the hole there. And that's when Piccolo gets involved. And this is the scope of Goma's potential. With the third eye, I guess I should say, because it's not really his potential, it's the third eye's potential. Goma literally just starts healing. And Piccolo hits him once, hits him twice, and Goma's like, get the hell out of here. And like back fists him away. So now we know that Goma basically has no openings. No openings whatsoever. It is wild. And he starts healing the hole. And that's just basically, where we're at. That is more or less where we have come. And what's really funny is the whole time this is going down, Goku's just still fighting Goma. Like, Goma's healed. Everything's going down. Everybody else flies in. Everybody else gets involved. Everybody's doing everything they can, and Goma literally turns the whole arena that they're fighting on into a giant Faraday cage. All this lightning just comes connects all the pillars, and everything is wild. And Goma is just standing there, healing, and the whole thing is insane. This dude has no upper limit whatsoever. It really makes you wonder how strong Abra actually was. And everybody's blasted away. Everybody's blasted away. And of course, at some point, there has to be a culmination of this. The fight just keeps going. And it's actually, believe it or not, nobody saw this coming. And I'm going to warn you for the final time, if you do not want to know how this ends before you watch the episode, this is your last chance. Because of everyone that's blasted away, it's actually Majin Ku that has the big magical book that is able to hit him 3 times in the back of the head with the magical book, and literally Goma shrinks, the whole arena fractures, and everyone's just standing around this is the climax? This is it? And one of the most classic comedic trope moments, the third eye falls on the ground, everything's pretty much done, the fight's over with, Goma's shrunk down, and Glorious walks over and just steps on the eye like it's a bug, like it's literally just a bug, just squish, and we're through. And there's that moment where you want it to be so much more epic. But I also appreciate it because it's very Toriyama style. What do the fans want? But here's what I think is funny. It's so great. It is a little I don't know how to put it. It feels a little bit too rapid of an ending, but it's perfect. It's absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I had so much fun with it. And after the initial shock of, really, this is it? This is how it ends? This is how everything goes down? Who saw Majin Ku being the person who actually, take down Goma? Who saw that being a thing, right? It is so incredibly funny. And then, of course, Goma and Degesu are then basically, like, whisked away into basically, like, this jar. Like, it's very, very reminiscent of the rice cooker and and the mafuba. And legitimately, they're whisked away into this bottle. I mean, essentially, it is the mafuba. And they're whisked away into the bottle, and they're kept there now for 99 years. Would have been 100, except he didn't actually kill Dende. So they took a year off his sentence for that, which is hilarious. But the question becomes, who's going to be the new ruler of the demon realm? And the good doctor puts her name up. She's like, well, naturally, I would be the one. And even, like, the Kaioshin, he's just like, yeah, like, that should... I can't remember his name. Shin, whatever. He's like, yeah, like, you're pretty much the next in line. You've shown that you have a conscience. He's like, I would support you as the new leader of the demon realm. And even she's shocked, right? But actually, Neva brings up a valid point. He's like, it's the person who defeats the current demon king that becomes the new demon king. And that, of course, means, yes, Majin Ku, of all people, becomes the new demon king. And I'm not going to go where I want to go with this, but I love the fact he's just like, all my friends are now cabinet members. Everybody I know everybody that's ever, like, you know, been kind. Everybody that's my buddy is now a cabinet member. Awesome. Everybody come around. Cabinet members all around. Let's go. It's so ridiculous, but it works. It's very Toriyama. And you know what? I'm here for it. I 100% am about that life. So that's kind of the wrap up, the wind down. We get the end credits, but there's a couple things unresolved here. We had the fusion bugs, but we never got fusion. Now, I understand for comedic purposes or for teasing purposes or whatever, Toriyama dropped them in there, and yes, you know, oh, it's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen. Never happens. And I'm a little disappointed that Vegeta never got Super Saiyan 4. In fact, when we finally get the explanation of Super Saiyan 4 from Goku himself, Goku says it's a power that he was able to unlock after training after the fight with Buu. Like, he basically felt more in the tank after Super Saiyan 3, and he discovered the power. So, I find that to be a bit of a plot hole. Because he never used it in Super. He never used it against Beerus. It would have made more sense if it was a location-specific transformation. That would have made plenty of sense. I find it a bit too convenient that Super Saiyan 4 is just, it's a power Goku has. And I love that Goku tells Vegeta, he's like, yeah, but you unlocked Super Saiyan 3 finally. That's great. And he's like, no, that wasn't Super Saiyan 3. That was Ultra Vegeta 1. And you know what? I'm here for it. Once again, screw it. It's Ultra Vegeta 1. His hair wasn't as long. It was pointy. It was a little different. Goku has Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta has Ultra Vegeta 1. So in every game going forward, they better call that form Ultra Vegeta 1. And instead of have the long flowing going back here, it's got the up spiky, like a little more extreme hair. That is Ultra Vegeta 1. This is canonically now. Fight me. Fight me in the comments. It's Ultra Vegeta 1. Fight me. Nevertheless, I wish Super Saiyan 4 was a little bit more special. I don't like the fact that it's now on the table. I don't like the fact that it's now, like, canonically Goku could do it. Like, technically, if you think about it, in Super, if at any point in time he wanted to, he could just go Super Saiyan 4 on the way up to Super Saiyan Blue. It's a little frustrating. I wish they would explain it a little bit better. Like, maybe it was like, you know, precursor to God Ki or something like that. Or, you know, maybe later on they'll explain it's on the same level as Super Saiyan God or something of that nature. or it's a false Super Saiyan God or something like that. But it leaves me with a little bit of a plot hole issue. Between that and between the fact they had the fusion bugs and they never used fusion, it's a couple of like little plot devices. Like, it's if you introduce a gun at the start of a story, somebody at some point must fire that gun, right? Like it's a common plot thing. But I get, at the end of the day, it's a comedy and you can use that to however you see fit. But in reality, it still is a plot hole, even if it is a bit humorous. But we have to talk about the proper ending of the series. And that is, Goku goes back to get the Medibugs. They basically go back to that vendor. They go to talk to that person. Everything's kind of wrapped up. And when they go back there, they're looking around, and Bulma finds a bug that's like, oh. And I actually did appreciate this, because when she was younger, she mentioned how much better her skin felt. And so she gets the bug that basically will improve her skin quality or whatever. And it's great too, because at first she's like, ugh, bugs. They're legitimately bugs. You're eating bugs. They're like, yeah, of course. Just what we do, right? And as soon as the vendor's like, yeah, and there's this bug that will de-age your skin 10 years. One was like, and I'll take them all. I'm rich. Forget this. So actually that does make sense for how they use the Dragon Balls in Super, where Bulma periodically wishes to have clearer skin from the dragon. De-ages herself, basically. But yeah, you get the idea. So I liked that. So they leave, they continue one plot thread, but completely throw out another. And I don't know, that leaves a little bit of a poor taste in my mouth. Also, we do find out that the Nameks are apparently going to be offered a home back in the Demon Realm rather than being nomads in space again, which will be really nice. But to end it all off, to bottle cap the whole series, we find out that in that shop, there's a jar. And in that jar, there's 2 more of the evil eyes. And legitimately, the shop owner says, oh yeah, I used to have 3, but they were so expensive I only sold 1. And the other 2 have just sat on the shelf. I'll cut you a good deal on them. Really? Really? All this time? Just insane. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I loved it. Dragon Ball Daima, in retrospect, was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. It was great. I would argue now that it's closed, and I'll do a full series retrospective, comparing it to the other series out there. But I would argue Daima is better than Super in the respect that it had a higher quality throughout its run. I think it even had a better story throughout its run. So if I'm going to put Dragon Ball, and once again, I've got to go back and I've got to rewatch certain parts of it. But if I'm going to put Dragon Ball on a pillar, I always say OG is my number 1. OG has always been my number 1. And that's probably the difference between me and a lot of Dragon Ball fans, is that most people, Z is going to be their number 1. For me, Z is my number 2. And then it was obviously GT was number 3. Then Super came along and Super superseded GT. I honestly think I would put Daima in front of Super now. So for me, it's Dragon Ball number 1, Z number 2, Daima number 3, then Super, then GT. Now, it doesn't say necessarily that Super was bad, but let's be fair here. The start of Super was pretty rocky. However, the movies have been fantastic. And now that the manga's back, there's the possibility that Super itself might come back. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But for now, make sure you guys subscribe because we're going to continue covering the Dragon Ball Super manga. Now that that's back on a monthly basis, we got more Dokkan Battle coming up. I have 2 videos, potentially 3 actually, in the works that I should be able to have out here pretty soon. I lost my voice for the last 2 days, so it was very hard to get content out. But we're back. Got so much more coming. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for more. And we'll do a full series retrospective here coming up shortly.